All right, welcome Keller ISD teachers to our Kickstart Your Learning Live this afternoon. We are so glad you guys are joining us here today. We are going to be talking about a special supplemental math resource that we have in Keller ISD called Dreambox. And we have this for our pre-K through 8th grade students in Keller. And we are super excited about it this year. And so we planned a YouTube Live to give you more information about it, to answer questions about it, and we are just glad that you are here to learn about it. If you are with us, you are on YouTube watching us, and so we're going to go over a couple of things that you'll need, and I'm going to introduce the people who are here with you today. My name's Christy Harold. I'm one of the facilitators of educational technology, and I've also got Chrissy Greeling with me. She is our K through 6th grade math coordinator.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for being here today.
And then we have a very special guest today, Debbie Thompson, and she is a representative for Dreambox, the actual product.
Hello, Keller. So glad to be here.
We're so thankful you ladies joined us today. They are the experts on this product, and we are excited for them to share with you. In the background, I've got Erin Reister, Laura Gonzalez, Misty Shea, and Sarah Smith helping me, my ed tech team. Thank you guys for helping as always. All right, we're going to take care of a little bit of housekeeping. If you've watched our YouTube lives before, then you can probably sit back for a minute or so and take a break. But if you haven't, we want to tell you how to get your chat window working. So if you're watching the YouTube live and you see our screen on the left and the chat window on the right, just like this slide, then you are good to go. You're ready to interact with us. And in fact, if you will, start introducing yourself in that chat window. Tell us your name, where you're coming to us from, what campus, and what you teach. If you don't have that chat window, you might have a gray box that says you need to create a channel to join the chat. So we're going to take a few seconds and get that done for you. It's 3 quick and easy steps, and it shouldn't take you very long. If you will, click your avatar in the top right-hand corner, and then click Create a Channel. Once you do that, a window is going to open where you're going to choose the Use Your Name side and scroll down and click Select. And last, on the last window, you're going to scroll all the way to the bottom and click Save and Continue. So I'm going to repeat those 3 steps again so that those of you who are actually needing to do this can get it done. In the top right corner of your YouTube window, you should see your avatar or your picture. If you'll click on that and choose Create a Channel, then the window that pops up, if you'll click on the Use Your Name side of the screen and click Select. And lastly, scroll down to the very bottom and click Save and Continue. For those of you that needed to open up that chat window, sometimes it doesn't pop you right back into the YouTube Live. So you might try refreshing your screen if you can still hear us but not see the chat. Or you might go ahead and type in the web address that we're using today, which is www.kellerisd.net/kickstart, KIC start. All right, while you're getting that done, I'm going to go over just a couple of expectations we have for you if you are YouTube Live participants. If you're here for the 1 hour of EQ credit, we are so happy you're here and we are so happy to give that to you. We do have a few expectations. If you'll watch the entire event, if you'll introduce yourself in the chat right now at the beginning, if you'll submit comments or questions during the chat, we're going to be prompting you with lots of questions today. So if you'll answer those and engage with us, that helps us know that you were here, that you participated. We'll be checking that chat when we give EQ credit. And then lastly, at the very end of the event, I'm going to give you a special link to fill out. It's a quick reflection form telling us you were here and what you learned from the event. And once you fill that out, we'll head to that Google form and we'll take those names and put them in a Euphoria and give you your credit. So we do want you to know that the address you came to today, the www.kellerisd.net/kickstart address is normally the link for our YouTube channel. And on our YouTube channel, we have playlists of things that will help you as teachers. We also have all of our past YouTube live events. So if there's anything you missed or are interested in, you can find it on that YouTube channel. In addition, if you're looking for another way to get EQ credit, we take our old YouTube lives and we put them in a Canvas class where, again, you watch with a reflection form and then you earn that EQ credit. So if you're interested in that, you can email us and we'll send you the link to get into the Canvas class. Okay. Let's start today by talking about Dreambox, this great math supplemental resource that we have in Keller ISD. Chrissy and Debbie are going to take away most of the training, but I want to talk to you very quickly about how we access it in Keller ISD for our students. So if you've got students that are mostly on a Chromebook, I'm going to play a quick video. It's about 1 minute, and I'm going to talk you through the process of getting to Dreambox. So when you're on that Chromebook and your students are logged into KCloud, they will see a Dreambox icon on their KCloud, or they can go to their backpack and they can go to the class that would have the Dreambox app in it, and they can click on that app from their backpack. Because Dreambox is a single sign-on product for us, it should point them directly into their Dreambox account. So this student's account, his name or her name would normally be showing in the top left. I've blurred that out, but from KCloud, your student should automatically be pushed into their Dreambox account. So that's how to access on a Chromebook in Keller ISD. And let's talk about accessing on an iPad. So same thing, about a minute's worth of video, and I'm going to talk you through it. On our new district iPads, your student's going to be looking for something called the ClassLink app. Once they're in ClassLink, they're going to search for Keller ISD. ClassLink is a vendor for multiple school districts in the United States and probably globally. That's going to push them to what we know as KCloud. They're going to sign in like they normally would. They can use the link from the ClassLink app on the front page of ClassLink, or they can use the backpack. Again, same as the Chromebook. They can choose the class that has the Dreambox app. Click on that app. There's one extra step with the iPad. You saw that they're pushed to a window where they have to launch the actual app. Again, in the top left would be the student's name. I've got that blurred out, but that's the process for getting into Dreambox from both a Chromebook and an iPad in the district. And these videos, we will give you a link to this presentation during the event later so that you'll have access to these videos if you need them, and then also access to any other resources we talk about today. So we're glad you're here, and at this time, I'm going to throw it over to Chrissy and Debbie and let them get started.
Awesome. Thank you, Christy. All right. So we want to kind of rate your understanding. We're going to ask you a couple questions, and we want to know what your level of understanding what these questions are. So if you feel like you can teach it and apply it in new ways, you're going to rate yourself a 4. If you can show understanding of it, a 3. A 2 would be that you are working on it, need a little bit more practice, and 1, you're trying to get it, need some more practice. Okay, so here we go. Here's the first question. What is your comfort level on getting your students on Dreambox? So we're going to give you about 30 seconds to put into the chat a 4, a 3, a 2, or a 1 about getting your students on Dreambox. And what is your comfort level or your understanding of that? And as you're jotting down your comfort level, just want to kind of give a little interesting fact. In the last 30 days, our students have completed over 300,000 lessons. So that's pretty amazing. This morning when I checked, we were at 354,000 lessons. So that is truly amazing.
Oh my goodness. I am
Yeah,
shocked by that. That's
I
amazing.
know, I know. Okay, so here's the next question, guys. So the next question is, what's your comfort level getting your parents on Dreambox? So again, in the chat, if you can put a 4, a 3, a 2, or a 1 based on your level of understanding on getting your parents logged into Dreambox.
Chrissy, this is Sarah. They
Yeah.
are saying 4 and 1, and you have a 3 on that first question. So
Okay,
it's kind
great.
of, yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. So here's another interesting fact as you guys are putting things in. One of the things we look at is what percentage of the campus is active on Dreambox. So when we look at a list of our students, what percentage of students are actively engaging with the product? And we have 15 campuses that have 50% or more students active. And so that's a really awesome thing, especially with students just now getting, acclimated with the product and using it. So to see that we have so many campuses that are utilizing the program is really awesome. All right, here's the next question, guys. So I would like to know what your comfort level is in viewing the reports. So think about just actually viewing it. So 4, 3, 2, or a 1. And thank you, Sarah, for putting that in the chat. I just saw that parents are about a level 1. Awesome. I've got a great tool to share with you in a little bit. So as you guys are answering that question and putting it in the chat, we have 32 campuses that have an average of 5 lessons completed per week on average. And so that, is our ultimate goal, is that students are completing 5 lessons a week. And so 32 of our campuses are averaging that. So that's wonderful. I'd love to see all of those numbers continue to go up, and I know that they will as we continue to use the product. All right, so on reports, we've got 1s, 2s, and 3s. And so here's my final question for you, and that is when we are looking at using the reports to drive our instruction. So where is your comfort level on that? So taking the actual reports and using it in ways to plan for upcoming units, planning for gaps, or planning for strengths that students might have. So if you'll put in the chat a 4, 3, 2, or 1. And so we'll wait for you guys to share with us where you're at on that, and that will help Debbie be able to tailor the information that she is going to share with you.
And thank you. And as while we're kind of waiting for the last numbers to kind of come in through that chat, I just wanted to briefly explain my past history. I am a retired math coordinator from Wichita Public Schools in Wichita, Kansas. And then I was a math science coordinator. Now I am working with Dreambox Learning. But one of the things I was able to do is I was able to actually implement Dreambox. And Wichita Public Schools is now like about in their 5th year of implementation. And they have seen such tremendous growth with their students and have seen that it's really helped those students, especially those students with those areas of unfinished learning, kind of make up that time. So that's, I think, is one of the most powerful pieces about Dreambox, especially with that adaptation in the program. So it looks like with planning, they're everywhere from 0 to about 2. So that definitely helps me as I get into this next component. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and shoot over and share my screen. Oh, there I go. Oops. It was giving me the little stop sign for here just a minute. Okay, so we're just going to do kind of a deeper dive into the educator experience so that you can feel a little more comfortable, more confident as you're looking at this program and trying to make sure you have what you need with the students. What I did want to do before, because we are going to go live into a demonstration dashboard, because this is being recorded, so I couldn't use Keller's because I don't want to have that information out there. So I'm going to use a demonstration dashboard, but I just wanted to reiterate the best practices. I know, especially those of you that have been to some of the trainings before and you have this understanding, but really the big thing is, yes, you want to make sure you provide time for the students to be able to get on Dreambox because they have to be able to get in order to complete the lessons. But the big thing is that second little check mark there is that you really do want to monitor that dashboard, make sure they are completing those lessons, because in Dreambox, it is different from other programs. It's not about time in the program, it's about completing those lessons. So, and again, make sure those students are independent in doing the work. It's because since it is an intelligent adaptive engine, it's got to make those decisions based on where the students are at. And then you want to always celebrate those areas of progress where the kids are doing great. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and go into the dashboard. I do have these snapshots on a PowerPoint that I'll be sharing later so that you can put it in a place for those of you that like to just have kind of a hard copy of what were these what did those reports look like and what do I need to go to. But I'm going to go ahead and go live. This is my demonstration dashboard. So those of you that are used to yours, so you're going to have data that is a little more current. This is basically Dreambox kind of takes kids from all over the United States, kind of scrubs out their information, but we still do get some data from these students. So on my dashboard, when you go in as an educator, you're going to automatically, and I love the videos that Christy made showing how the kids get on, because you guys will also get on through your K Cloud. But when you get in and you're going to go, it will automatically show up on this home tab if you're a teacher, classroom teacher with students. Now, if you happen to be a math coach or someone that has more school access, then you won't have this home tab because you have to have access to students in order to have that home tab. But this is the home tab is where you're going to get the most current data. This is one thing that I think a lot of teachers, they get a little confused because you do have this reports tab and you have the home tab, and it's like, well, what's the difference? The home tab is the current information for either this week, and you always want to look up here at the top left corner, this week or last week. Since this is midweek, this is a pretty good time to look to see how are my kids doing so far? Are they getting to that 5 lessons per week? So when I'm a teacher, the first thing I always do, because the first things you want to look at first is usage. Are my kids getting on and are they doing what they need to be doing? Then the next thing I want to look at is activity. But first, I always want to look at, if it was Monday or Tuesday, you might click back to last week to get more data. But since it is a Wednesday, I think this is great. So I always go straight to total lessons, because as I told you before, the lesson completion is where you get that bang for your buck. And as Christy was talking earlier, we really want to try and hit the 5 lessons per week, because that's where those outside independent research studies have been done. And 5 lessons was kind of that sweet spot where you get a significant positive impact on student achievement on what's happening in the classroom, as well as external assessments. So what I do is I always click, and I always kind of, you sort it ascending, descending, either way you want. I always like to look to see what are they doing so far in, I always like to go for the celebrations first. So I always like to kind of click it so I can see those kids that are doing a great job. So I look at these and I look to see how are they doing. This is midweek and making sure they get to those 5 lessons or more. Well, I have to tell you, in this virtual time, students have more access to Dreambox, so we are seeing higher numbers. But I also want to say there is a time when there's too much of a good thing. I love cake. Cake is great. Too much of it is not good for me. So this is where you've got to kind of create that balance. So these kids here, I'm going to start going, whoa, because on the path that this kid is going, this kid's going to be going into the 30s, maybe even 40s by the time it's the end of the week. That's a lot of time that this student is spending on doing lessons on a screen. So I want to always balance that. The only thing I do want you to think about, and we're going to look at that when we look at the standards tab here in just a minute, is that if the student happens to be barely has a lot of areas of unfinished learning, maybe I'm not so worried that they are doing kind of an elevated number of lessons, because they have a lot to make up. So this is where it really is teacher judgment. So this is, that's another thing I loved about Dreambox when I was in Wichita, is that we really do feel that we are a partner with the teacher. Yeah, the program's great. It's got this adaptability. It looks at, actively searches for those areas of unfinished learning, looks for those areas of strength. But when we partner with the teacher, it does an even better job. So that's what I'm hoping to kind of help you guys a little bit with today, as we're looking at some of these reports. So I would look to see, and if I know like Sharika, I'm like going, okay, yeah, Sharika has had some issues with a lot of areas of unfinished learning. I really do. I'm not so much worried because she's catching up. The other thing is that you'll find out, especially with those students that are below grade level, when they find that this is getting to where they need to be and it's helping them be successful and they are understanding math, they get so excited and they want to do it more. So you kind of hate to say, quit doing math. But again, you got to balance that and use your teacher judgment to decide, do I need to encourage something else? Do I need to have them maybe have some time where I can maybe even go to my activity feed, which I'm going to show you here in a minute, where we can play a lesson together, because when you use it through your activity feed, it doesn't mess with their data, because that's the big thing. You always want the student to be completing these lessons on their own. So this is where I always look, lessons, and then I want to look at what are they working on right now. So this will tell me what is the last activity that they actually completed, so I can see where are my students. And I will tell you, and you can kind of see it from here, is that it will almost always go with those number strands first. Anything with number, operations, algebraic reasoning, it always goes with those areas, because they know that those are the major areas that the students need the most significant help with. So we always go with those. And the other thing is that we'll always build and on each other. So just because a student is working at a second grade level, it will, if the student is doing well, it will push them into the third grade level, because it's capitalizing on the success that the student is having before it goes and it finishes another area. So this is a great place to be able to go look at that usage. What are they working on? Kind of check the time, see what they're doing. Then I want to also look and see the students maybe that need encouragement. These kids I'm not so worried about. It's the midweek. I might be more worried about these students down here, what's going on. So I can touch base with those students to see what they might need. This area, the alerts and achievements, this is also a great place to be able to go, because now I can click here and I can see, well, what standards have they completed? This is eventually what I want. I really want my students to be able to push through and complete those standards. In Dreambox, just because they're in a lesson, that doesn't mean it's that whole standard. This lesson group may be only a portion of that standard. So they may have to complete several lesson groups before they are able to show that completion for a standard. So this will let you know. And so when a student has completed a standard, this is a great time to have those celebrations. When we were talking about celebrating progress, this would be a great time to send them this little messages, or print out a certificate, because if you go up here to the resources, we have some certificates that you can print out. So there's different ways that you can help celebrate that achievement. Here are those lesson groups completed that I referred to earlier, that these are embedded within the standards. So this will let you know that this is identifying a missing addend, which is within a standard. So it's like those sub skills. This will let you know when they've completed a lesson group. And then this one, of course, is pretty important. This is where the students are struggling a little bit. This is where they maybe have this engine had to go back, do some review. Then they're attempting that lesson again after they've done some review. Now they're attempting the lesson again. So this just alerts you so that maybe you can go in and try to figure out, well, what is going on? What do I need to do? This is where now I said, first, you want to look at usage. Then the second thing is you want to look at activity. What is it that they're doing? So you can see the specific student's activity feed right here. So I can go ahead and click on this student and I can see their activity feed, and it always goes from the most current, and I can scroll down to see what have they been working on. So I can go through here and I can see that the engine has gone back and has filled in, went through, filled in, and they've been unsuccessful 4 times on this particular lesson. So here's where I can play this lesson to see what is it that has been happening with the student. But eventually they were completing it, but they never did. As you can see right here, is this a lesson completed with no demonstrated understanding. So they completed it, which is great, because that gives the adaptive engine that information it needs to figure out where does it go next. But it's great for me as a teacher, because now I can hit this play lesson and I can get into that lesson, and I can even have the student, if I need to Zoom with the student, or if the student is in the classroom with me, I can have them pull over and we can talk about it through this particular button without impacting their data. And this is not when I'm going to say, let me show you what to do. This is when it's really like a math talk. I've done this with small groups. I've done this with whole classrooms, but it really does work quite well with just one individual kid too, where you're saying, what do you think? What's going on here? What have you done before? And you start kind of prodding them and poking them and seeing, what are they thinking? Where are those areas of maybe that they're kind of breaking down? Maybe sometimes it's just with the manipulative that the student is supposed to be using, or that visual that's on the screen. And sometimes I've said, oh, I can see, let's try this or do this. And then the kid's like going, oh, I know now. And then they're off and running. So then they can go back and they can do that lesson and it's fine. So this is where you can actually go and do some pretty targeted work with the student as far as what they're doing. So I'm going to close that report out and go back to here. Is that I can also see, well, let me go back because it already clicked it to that student. I'm going to go ahead and clear this filter. What I can also do is I can just select a student from up here. I can select a student here. I can select them down below, but I can also pick the student here. If I chose a student up here, it will also give me a breakdown each day as to how many lessons they completed, how much time did they need. Here I can see on Wednesday, so far, today, don't know what happened, 3 minutes, but they weren't able to complete a lesson, but that always happens. Then you can also get the specific information about that student and especially what they are currently working on. So I was going to say, is there anything that's popped up in the chat? I want to make sure if there's some question I need to answer. There's also the roster management that you can look at down here. And this is also where you can add assignments, but that's something you don't need to worry about for just a little bit.
Debbie?
Oh, there you go. So sorry, you can go right ahead.
Yeah, the question has come up. They do 20 minutes a day, and this is a 3rd grade teacher, wondering if that's okay. And then another question, kind of asking about that maximum number, about what we should let them do. So I think just the concern is, too much time, not enough time, that kind of thing.
Yeah, and I would think, and especially this time, this is definitely where you want to look to see if they're still working in the area, grade level, some standards below grade level. That's definitely, I think, would be perfectly fine. It's when you start seeing that the kids are moving beyond the grade level, then that one is when you really kind of want to get concerned. Is there anything, Chrissy, that you want to say about that? Okay.
No, that's perfect. Thank you.
Okay. So now I'm going to click into reports very quickly. This view is going to be data that is, it's not this week or last week's data. This is going to be monthly data. So this is something that's going to compile together to give you information about more of the bigger view. So most often teachers will be here in the home, but sometimes you are going to want to get to this reports if you want to see a specific school. So let me, and of course, since now I'm in this view, you're going to be seeing that I have to click through to get to a classroom. You would not have this. You would already have your name. All you have to do is, if you have more than a classroom, more than one classroom, you would pick that classroom. And then you can also pick your student. But what I wanted to show you is I referred to the standards report. This is the other report that I think is really important. And again, you can see activity feed that again, but this is for your whole class. So there's a whole class activity feed, or you can click on specific students activity feed. But I wanted to show you the standards. This is the classroom level standard view. I always generally have it on the grid view first. So this happens to be a 4th grade classroom, and so it will automatically default to 4th grade. Across the top, and I forgot to look to make sure this was on TEKS. I keep trying, somebody else keeps getting into my demo dashboard and they keep switching it. So I'm hoping this is TEKS. If not, you're going to pretend it is. So the TEKS would be listed right across the top. And so then this will give me the view of, as a class, where are my students? This is a fabulous view for when you're getting ready to teach a unit. So if I'm here in a couple of weeks, if I'm teaching, getting ready to start unit 2 or 3, and I look at my lead forward document, that scaffolding document that will tell me what are those precursor skills for this particular 4th grade unit. And it says the kids really need this 3rd grade standard and this 3rd grade standard. Well, now I can go back, because this is the beauty of Dreambox. It had, the students have access to all that data, or all the mathematics. You have access to all the standards. So I can just click back to 3rd grade and I can look at my students now. Yes, they are 4th graders, but now I can look at them to see how are they doing in those 3rd grade standards. So let's say I needed 3-3H. So I'm going to click on that one, and I'm going to click on, because right when you click on it, it will sort those kids. So I have this group of kids that have not even started working on that standard in Dreambox, which means I now need to look to see, well, what's the precursor to that one? Because I don't want my kids to all of a sudden be confronted with this particular outcome that they have to have in 4th grade if they don't even have the precursor foundational skills that they need beforehand. So this is a perfect place to be able to go, to be able to sort and to see, where are my students at? Questions about this one? Because this one generally does get questions. No. Okay, so before I get done, I did want to show you the group one. This is my last one, because then I got to send it over to Chrissy. But you can also do this with the group view. So the standards, you can also go to group, which is another great way. I mean, some teachers like grid, some people like group. We give it to you both. So if I need some numbers and operations, I can look to see. It gives it by domain. But if I want to go to, I can look at by cluster. I can look at it by specific standard. So if I decide, no, I just need it by cluster, I just need to see if they have that fractional understanding. So then it will say, okay, all my kids have at least started. Some are even really close to being done, but I have quite a few that are just beginning. So this will give me a really good view all at one time. But of course, then if you want to pick in other areas and you can drill down, then it will give you, it'll sort the students out even in a finer grain. So either one of those views, and as you can see, you can print or you can export those. So you have that information handy. Okay, so hopefully that gave you enough information so that your home reports, and then your reports more of the global view, month or by standard. So both of those should be, I hope, helpful, and that gives you enough information. So I know Chrissy had some more information too to share, especially about parents.
Yes, before we do that, there was one question that did come through, and it is that their program, the Dreambox, is defaulting to 6th grade, and they're working with 7th and 8th grade.
Okay, that is a really good question. If the default is showing up at a different grade level, then usually that means that the roster upload that we're being sent has somehow designated those students at that grade level. So if you would, do they email Aaron or do they?
So yes, I would recommend that they put in a ticket and be very explicit in there to say what level of students that they are working with and where it is defaulting to. Awesome. Thank you.
Chrissy, I'll go ahead and share again so you can talk about resources.
Awesome. So we're going to send these awesome resources to you from Dreambox and that were pulled from their website that I think you'll find really useful on the left-hand side. But we want to share one with you that I think that's going to help you with your parents. So Christy, would you mind clicking on the parent guide?
Not at all. There we go.
Awesome. So guys, this parent guide was created by Dreambox for Keller. And so there's 3 different columns. The first column has tech support. Then we have expectations and routines, and then monitoring. And so what you can do, if you look in that last column for monitoring, you can see that first one. How do I set up that family dashboard? There's a quick little video. You can see that it's a video because it has a little play sign. And so you would click on that and it will show parents how to set up that dashboard. And then also if you can see in that first column, what devices can my child use, that it's more of like a piece of paper. So that is more of like a handout. But this is a really good tool. I recommend sending it to your parents. At the very top, it says Why Dreambox Learning. And so that's a great video for your families to watch so that they have that buy-in for doing Dreambox at home as well.
Perfect. Thank you, Chrissy.
Yes, absolutely.
All right. I know that you're all dying to know where I got my awesome Dreambox background today. I just want you to know that when I was doing a little bit of research, I didn't find the teacher reports, but I did find the activities and fun page on Dreambox. There's lots of really fun virtual backgrounds for teaching math with. So if I were a teacher right now in the classroom, I would probably have a no virtual background rule, but I might have to break that rule teaching math and have some of those fun backgrounds because I really did have a hard time deciding today. There's one with all the cute animals, so many cute ones. So if you want a little fun while you're teaching math one day, you can change your background to a Dreambox background. So that was the fun that I found when I was doing some research. All right, teachers, we're so glad you joined us today. We do want you to know that we did Bitly this presentation. So the Bitly link for this is bit.ly/Kickstart Dreambox if you want to jot that down or take a quick picture of it. If you've never worked with Bitlys before, know that they are case sensitive. So the capital letters have to be capitalized and the lowercase letters must be lowercase for the link to work. And so just so you know why you would want the presentation, there are the 2 videos about how you get to Dreambox and Keller, and then all of the resources that Chrissy and I linked, especially the fun virtual backgrounds. We do want you to know that our next Kickstart Your Learning is planned for October 28th. Right now, we don't have a specific topic. We are working on that, but we will bombard you on Twitter, Facebook, and DWW, and even maybe an email. If you want to put it on your calendar, it'll be October 28th. We also want to share with you that all of our how-to resources go on a website page. And so hopefully by now, if you're teaching in Keller ISD, you've heard of KIC. It is at the link www.kellerisd.net/KIC, KIC. So all of our how-tos are there, sorted by topic on the front page. So if you need more information on Zooming or more help with Google Docs, Google Forms, it's all there for you, everything that we make. Check it out if you need to. I want to thank Debbie and Chrissy for joining us today. They did this out of the goodness of their hearts. We appreciate your expert knowledge on this topic, and thank you for sharing about reports with our teachers, and that parent how-to for Keller ISD is amazing and will help our families maybe get a little bit of understanding of it, the product, and it is just a really neat product. If you enjoyed the product today, if you'll give them some love in the chat and maybe tell us how you're going to use reports more in your classroom or how you're going to use those reports to guide your instruction, let us know what you're going to do. And if you were here for EQ credit and you need to fill out the form, the link for the EQ credit form today is bit.ly/Kickstart2021. We will give you plenty of time to snap a picture of that with your phone or open another tab and type that in. It's a quick reflection form. Really, we just grab your name, your campus, which event you attended, and just a little bit about what you learned while you were here today. But fill that out in the next 48 hours and we'll get that credit granted for you. And you'll know you got credit when you get an email from School Objects in your inbox saying that you got credit for today's episode. While you're getting that link, we also want to remind you that we do write a weekly blog. We just finished a month-long series on Aries and tips for helping with Aries. Our blog is called Digital Tips, Tricks, and Tools. So if you're interested, you can go to that link and sign up for the RSS feed and you can get it in your email once a week. Again, we're teachers. Thank you so much for being here with us tonight. Go ahead and continue to tell us in the chat what you love about Dreambox. And Chrissy and Debbie, I can't thank you enough for helping us out with this product that we weren't as familiar with, and for being guests on the Kickstart Live. Keller, we will see you in October. Have a great evening.